And good morning, late tea time podders around the world. Very good to see you this early morning on a Thursday. James and DT with you, as always, on the Late Tea Time podcast. DT, good day.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right. I've had 2 late nights on the football, so I'm a bit bleary-eyed this morning, as we said. Before we get any further, I will remember this time to say thank you very much to switchwatersupplier.com for their continued support of the Late Tea Time podcast. Switching your water made simple from switchwatersupplier.com. But this week, DT, we are looking forward to the Players' Championship. And as regular viewers will know, I am the kind of the cricket fan that is presenting this as a non-golfing person. You're the gargantuan golfing brain. But the Players, that's outside the majors. This is right up there, isn't it?
Yeah, there used to be a debate whether it should be called the fifth major, but you can't really give that tag nowadays in this live era because, you've not got Rahm and Cam Smith and various others, DJ, DeChambeau. So, yeah, but still, obviously, it's the best of the best and of who's on the PGA Tour. And, it's a classic event, isn't it? That 17th green. Switchwater should have put like a sort of advertising banner in the background, because the 17th is where, if you've backed a player and he comes to the 17th, you just get this over with now. Just land safely, please, because so many balls end up in the water. I think it's average of about 50 a year end up in there.
That's where they have all of the ball trackers, and they have them all together. How many have fallen in the water? How many have made it onto terra firma? I'll go through the top end of the markets. You can see them scrolling across the bottom of your screen there. Scotty Scheffler, 11-2. Rory McIlroy, 16s. Xander Schauffele, 22s. You've got Max Homa, 25s. Victor, my mate, he's 25s. Justin Thomas, who's finding form again, is 25-1. Patrick Cantlay, 28s. My mate Colin Morikawa, 28-1. Will Zalatoris, who's starting to come back into it, is 33s, and the rest are bigger. Scotty Scheffler is ahead on top of the markets there, winning last week as well. He's just a bit of a machine, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, there's a feeling with him as once he got his putter working, then kind of watch out. And that's exactly what happened last week. He got better on the greens sort of day by day, and then blasted the field away by 5. And he won this tournament by 5 last year. So I think if you're looking for just a very simple bet, 11-2 on Scheffler, you couldn't bet anyone off that, could you really? Yeah. Because he's that good. I've been reading through all the press conferences this week, and everyone was asked, how dominant is he? And they're all just kind of in awe of what he's doing, kind of thing. He's very sort of humble about it himself, Scheffler, but he knows he's kind of absolutely flying at the minute. So yeah, if you want to do that, 11-2, but obviously we like to maybe look for bigger prices and different ways in.
We talked about the full swing thing. I know you haven't watched it yet, but he plays a little bit of a part in the Tom Kim episodes, and where he's kind of taking the mickey out of him a little bit. You see a slightly different side to him on the full swings, because when you see them under their caps on the course, they can be a bit robotic, can't they? But he's got a decent sense of humour, Scotty Scheffler, on that full swing. So we will see how he gets on this week. Rory, as I say, second in the standings there. But we come to you as late as possible. We 2 weeks in a row, Thursday mornings from the UK. I know people watch us from all over the world, so different time zones everywhere. But where has that led us in terms of the latest news, rumours, gossip, course info?
So the one I've come to late in the day, obviously with other hats on, I write previews elsewhere, and those went out on Tuesday. But as time ticked on, and the nearer I've got to tee off time, and of course seeing his interview, the one I've landed on is Max Homa.
Oh, okay.
So if you dig out his price, I'll spin you through some of the reasons why.
Well, you're scrolling across the bottom of the screen at 25-1 best price.
Go. Yeah, I think he's been nibbled at. I think he might be 28 earlier in the week, but 25 is still good. So last 2 tournaments, he was 16th at Riviera, 8th in the Cognizant Classic, the first Florida event. And then when he was talking, he said he made a little tweak to his grip, which has helped him. He said he was a little bit disappointed with his form on the West Coast, which is normally his time to make hay, and he's won a lot of events on there. So he kind of said it's happened in reverse. He says a bit disappointed on the West Coast, but he's come to Florida and he's found something here. So rather than doing all his best stuff out in California, whatever, and then trying to hang on to it in Florida, it's kind of come the other way. And he's now sort of found his mojo here in Florida, the Sunshine State. So that looks good. He's a really good player in Florida. I was checking his record. Last 8 tournaments in Florida, 4 top 10s and 3 further top 20s in those 8 events. So he normally nails it. At this tournament itself, last year he was 6th, 13th the year before. You don't get many who've had back-to-back top 15s. So they're asking him why he thought he did well here. And he speaks well, Max Homa. He always gives a good kind of detailed analysis of why. So he said about why he does well here. He says, I think my misses are quite small in relation to everyone out here, I guess. I enjoy working the ball. I think you have to do that quite a bit out here. I think I can be quite patient when the scores are a bit higher. I feel like I putt well here. I just think I've done a good job of getting comfortable off the tee, even though, like I said, they're awkward tee shots. But I feel like I've found some shots that work on certain holes, and I've trusted that. So basically, all parts of his game, he's sort of analysed why he does well here. He's got the temperament to go with it. One other thing he said as well, I think he's played this tournament in quite tough weather conditions. The weather's pretty good this week, not too windy. And he actually said he's happy to get the good weather this week. Maybe that's tapping into his California kind of vibes, where he's used to a bit sunnier weather. So he's got everything in his favour this week. So someone who was definitely on my radar at the start of the week, but the more time has gone on, the more I've thought, I think he's going to be right up there. So he's the one I like, yeah.
So Max Homa, 25-1, the first name that goes on the Late Tea Time podcast betting slip. And he's another one that shows his character on social media. He's quite vocal on there, isn't he? He's always good fun. So Max Homa goes onto the betting slip. I will play now the advert for our sponsors, the late switchwatersupplier.com, sponsors of the Late Tea Time podcast. And as I say, thank you very much indeed to them for their continued support of the podcast. Always appreciated. And if you've got a business and you need some help saving money on your water expenses, here's where you go to.
All golfers want to stay away from the water. That splash as your round sinks beneath the surface is never a good sound. But golf courses rely on water to keep those fairways and greens lush. For that post-round shower or the clean glass at the 19th hole, golf courses, indeed most businesses, spend way too much money on their water bills. Switch Water Supplier can cut your water costs and help your business save money. Register now at switchwatersupplier.com. They will do all the hard work and get your business the very best price for your water supply and claim money back if you've been overcharged. Switchwatersupplier.com. Switching made simple.
Indeed, switching made simple. There's an advert which we'll play in the next few weeks, which is a little chat that Graham from switchwatersupplier.com did. And he was talking about a golf course where they basically leaking water all over the place, enough to, feed? Enough to service 100 families. It was ridiculous amounts. £30,000 a year they were saving this golf course for water that they were basically spending money on, but was just draining away into nothingness. So if you're a golf course out there and you want to save money, switchwatersupplier.com. Anyway, back to the Players' Championship. We've got Max Homa on the betting slip already, DT. Who else are we looking at this week?
Yeah, so I've got a second outright pick as well. To be fair, he's someone who I've already backed earlier in the week, but I got some more information to kind of crystallize and kind of back up those thoughts. And it comes from clipped data that they do. They're kind of like science boffins who work with a lot of the pros, work a lot with the coaches, got their fingers in lots of pies in terms of data analysis. So they sent something this morning. So there you go. It helps to hang on sometimes to Thursday morning, late in the day, the late tea time. And they sent something this morning with a big analysis of this week's course, and they looked at data going all the way back to 2011 and what was the most important aspects, and they broke it down into various categories. And then they listed a couple of players, and one of them on there was Tom Hoagie, who, as I say, backed earlier in the week, in really good form. They looked at his strengths in various categories, and the one thing that stands out with him is approach play. That's really important here at TPC Sawgrass, and using all their metrics on various distances, he's second only to Scotty Scheffler in terms of all-round approach play, which is a worthy of a wow, I think. Which, given the depth of talent on the PGA Tour, he hits his irons beautifully. So you would think he would do well here, where it calls for that kind of prowess, and he absolutely does. He's come 35th or inside the top 35 in all 4 appearances. Last year he was third and shot a third round 62, which is just bonkers. He's in really good form this year as well. So yeah, Tom Hoagie, I want to back him as well. He's got an early start. If you look at first round leader history here, in fact, if you look at overall history, it helps if you go out early. So
right, okay.
Tom Hoagie's got an early tee time, so I want to back him in the outrights, but also for first round leader.
Okay, well, in the outrights, he's 66 to 1, which is a decent enough price for Tom Hoagie. I'll just find him on the first round leader market, scroll down a little bit because he's a fair, decent way down, 70 to 1. All of these prices actually with Bet365, who seems to be the most generous of the bookies this week. 70 to 1 for Tom Hoagie to be top of the pile come the end of the first 18.
Yeah, all sounds good. So slightly putting our eggs in a basket there with Tom Hoagie, but say it's nice to get this sort of validation. I mean, I was going down that angle myself, that his approach play would elevate him above what his odds suggest this week, and to get it backed up by the data science team of Clipped was quite nice.
He's a player which I see crop up on the coverage every now and again, but I've never really known too much about, and even to the extent of Hoagie or Hogue or however you pronounce his surname. But he goes on to our betting slip then. So there's 2 picks. Have we got anything else for this week?
Yes, I've got a 72-hole match bet treble.
Do you know what? I thought you'd have something else. That's why I asked.
Yeah, so people think we just throw this together. This is all beautifully planned. You won't like it. Again, I'm opposing your 2 favourite players, I'm afraid. I know.
Do I have to mute you, or shall I just keep you going?
Hear me out. You can always say, no, I'm going to play it the other way around completely. But leg 1 of this 72-hole treble is Justin Thomas to beat Victor Hovland. Quickly go through why. Justin Thomas has won this tournament before. He loves this place. Quick quote from him about his current play. He says, "I feel good about my game. I feel like things are very, very close in terms of winning tournaments. I feel and know that I'm playing well enough to win tournaments." Absolutely loves this event. Whereas Hovland, now 2 things here. In his interview, he was sort of asked because he's not played that well this year. He just hasn't got going. He was brilliant at the end of last year, but it's just not got going. And they never like to say anything too negative, but he sort of dropped a few hints. He says it's more like a slower process right now. So he's trying to work things out. And I think the idea of a quick fix that he hoped for isn't happening. And I've seen a few little clips from the course, actually, where he looks a bit kind of, in conversation a bit, like he's not just flowing out there and things aren't quite working, and he's just testing a few things.
He's usually got like a permanent smirk on his face, hasn't he?
Yeah, so it just sounds like he's searching a bit. And if you're searching on this course, it can find you out. If you look at the records of players, they can be really good, and then they'll like miscut suddenly, so it can go like third night, miscut. So I think if you're just off, then it can find you out. So I just thought Thomas was a more reliable bet there for that one. So him to beat Hovland.
Okay.
The second one is fairly obvious. Scheffler to beat McIlroy. Scheffler, you don't really need to make any argument for. Won this by 5 last year, won by 5 last week in awesome form. But if you're looking for some sort of negative on Rory, he admits he's driving the ball really well, but his iron play isn't quite there. He's sort of said his irons aren't where he wants them just yet. So again, if you're just searching a bit, not the place to do it. And Rory hasn't had a top 20 on the PGA Tour this year. I mean, only just outside. That's a bit unusual for him. He's normally racked up 2 or 3 top 10s by now easily. So he's not quite there. Scotty Scheffler's short price to win that 2-ball, 1-2, but, you know.
If you're watching Rory McIlroy, I apologise for what I'm about to say, but I think with Rory McIlroy that maybe he thinks about it too much. And he's always tinkering and always searching and always hunting for better. Whereas I think he plays his best golf when he just goes out there and enjoys himself and just basically, in kind of sporting speak, expresses himself. He maybe just needs to forget all of the minutiae and just go out there and hit it.
Yeah, I mean, he's still an incredible player and does incredible things. But yeah, you would think if he had Scheffler's more kind of like easygoing temperament. You know, I mean, you are what you are and everything, and probably Rory's kind of intelligence and searching probably has helped him in a lot of ways. But
I think sometimes as well, the sort of fallout from the live stuff, which is still going on. I think we talked a lot about it draining Rory when he was the sort of focal point for the defense of the PGA Tour. But I wonder if the fallout from the coming back together tale, and where he feels like he's maybe been exposed a bit and let down a bit, maybe he's having more of an effect.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of, you get the impression he's sort of like lived every step of the way through it in terms of, you know, he's taken a stance and then he's had to sort of pull back on it. And now he's sort of trying to find a middle ground where you get the idea with Scheffler, it's just sort of gone over his head a bit.
Yeah. Rory talks about the fact his best friend on the PGA Tour is actually Jay Monahan, who is the head honcho, not a player, but the head honcho of it. And he spent a lot of time with him in meetings and stuff over the last sort of 2 years, 12 months, whatever. Just wonder if the fallout's actually maybe taken more of a toll than he dares admit.
Can do. Yeah, it's just like a loss of concentration on a few shots here and there, something makes a difference. But as I say, Scheffler just seems to be a bit immune to all the politics. So, forget that angle. Just on actual play, Scheffler's clearly, you know, the number one by quite a distance.
Your final leg of this is you're going to be opposing Colin now, aren't you?
Yeah. So it's Hideki Matsuyama to beat Colin Morikawa. Morikawa. Well, I'll start with Matsuyama. He's been great for him the last couple of weeks. He put that in brilliant final round to win at Riviera. Then he backed it up with 12th at the Arnold Palmer. And then at this course, he's got one of the most consistent records. You'll see, actually. I said before, players tend to sort of oscillate between good performances and missed cuts. He's very consistent. 6 top 25s in his 8 appearances, 3 of those top 10s. So he's a solid pick for a match bet, but Morikawa isn't. Again, I've seen stuff from the course where he looks a bit kind of not too happy. Somebody put up a picture of him kind of in deep discussion with his coach, as if he was a bit miffed about something. And they think, well, what's that about? And then you look, his last round, he shot 80 in his last round at Bay Hill. So maybe he's just not quite on this at the moment. And as for this course, his form is 41st, miscut 13th. So it's a bit not the greatest, is it really?
Right.
So I thought Matsuyama, just on current play and course record and general overall kind of state of mind, looks a better bet. So Thomas, Scheffler and Matsuyama in a 72-hole treble.
72-hole treble. What does that price up at?
9-2 with Bet365. You might get it better somewhere else if you can find those same matchups, but that's about what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's always the case. Anybody watching or listening is we have the prices at the time of recording, etc. But they may vary. If you have a hunt around at the time you place your bet, you might find better.
Or you can just, if you're with a bookie and you've not got those exact pairings, the kind of advice is maybe to look to take on Morikawa and Hovland. Obviously, they'll be paired with a good player somewhere. But yeah, if you do find with Bet365, that's 9-2.
You know why Colin and Victor are struggling, don't you? Because the Late Tea Time podcast is turning against them.
They're getting a bit. They need some love, don't they? They need some love from us.
You're still my friend, Colin. You're still my friend, Victor.
The time will come. It all goes ebbs and flows. But right now, I think they're worth taking on.
Anyway, they are our bets this week on the Late Tea Time podcast. If you are looking for the winners markets, etc., you have to remind me. It's Tom Hogic. I've put them on my odds checkered slip here. There we go. They've disappeared. They are back. Tom Hogie, 66-1 to win the thing. He's 70-1 to be the first round leader. And Max Homer is DT's, I guess, main pick of the week. And Max Homer, 25-1 to win the Players' Championship. And then the 72-hold treble is Justin Thomas to beat Victor Hovland, Scotty Scheffler to beat Rory McIlroy, and then Hideki Matsuyama to beat my mate Colin Morikawa. And that is all scrolled together as a treble, 9-2. DT, as always, thank you very much indeed for your expertise this week on the Late Tea Time podcast. I will see you again next week.
Well, yeah, we might. There's just a chance we might do a halfway update. We can't commit to that promise, but maybe.
You're mega keen, aren't you, this week?
Well, it's a big event, isn't it?
Yeah. So sometimes I have to basically ring him up and chivvy him, and this week he's flying.
Yeah, well, I'll have to get you out of bed for Saturday morning, so
oh, thanks.
We'll see.
Yeah, well, look forward to that. Thank you for watching Late Tea Time Podders around the world. Good luck with all your bets. Gamble responsibly. This has been a sports broadcast media production, and we'll see you again, well, maybe in 2 days, or if not, next week. Cheers, everybody.
Always gamble responsibly. Visit begambleaware.org for more information.